Now I'm ready to create fringe. Fringe is a great way to finish your weaving. It's also a fun element to include throughout the body of the weaving. So what you'll need for fringe is a lot of yarn that's cut into strips. They can be the same length strips, they can be different lengths. All that matters is that the length that you cut is going to be twice as long as your actual piece of fringe. So my fringe is going to be about this long, and I'm going to trim it later. So what you're going to do is take a group of about 3 pieces of yarn, depending on the weight of the yarn that you're using, and I'm going to use 4. And the weight of the yarn is really important in this part. You'll want something that has a little bit of body to it, a little bit of weight to it, because this is going to be the hanging down. This is going to be hanging down. And so you don't want something lifeless like this piece of roving. You can do a little fringe test to see if it hangs beautifully like fringe or if it's just lifeless like this piece. This would not be ideal. Even something like this would be interesting depending on the look that you're going for. And again, you have to remember that once all the fringe is complete, we'll have many, many, many layers. So that's something to think about. What it looks like right here is not what it will definitely look like at the end. So what you're going to do is take you're going to fold it over into 2 parts. I have 4 pieces of yarn here. So you're going to fold it over into 2 parts. You're going to place it over 2 pieces of yarn, 2 pieces of your warp rather. You're going to take the ends of both sides of your yarn and tuck them under the warp thread so that they meet each other and pull tight. And now this is the fringe knot, and it is very malleable. It's not very secure. So what we are going to need to do at the end, once we have finished creating a row of fringe, is we're going to secure it with a row of plain weave. So don't be scared or afraid if your fringe is moving around. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. So now I'm going to create another piece of fringe. I'm going to take about 4 pieces of yarn again. And I'm going to place it over so that you can sort of visualize where the fringe is going to be. Place it over the 2 pieces of yarn and then go ahead and tuck each side in to meet one another in the middle. Fold it up. So you'll do this all the way across or wherever you'd like to create your fringe section. I'm pretending that I'm all done with my weaving, and so this is how I'm going to end it. So you're just going to create in groups of 2. You're going to work your way across the body of the weaving. Okay, let's pretend that I've done the whole section. Now what you're going to do, using the same color of yarn that you used for your fringe, you're going to thread your needle and you're going to insert a row of plain weave below the fringe. Pull it up. You'll want to do a pass in either direction, at least 1 complete pass of there and back. I'm going to do there and back and a half. Okay, so now this row of fringe is not going anywhere, and you can tighten up those knots if you like. But we are not complete. Our fringe is not complete. We need to add the second row. So in the first pass of fringe, we only grabbed these sets of 2 warp threads. So now to complete it and create a full look, we're going to grab the alternating pieces of 2. So you can go ahead and skip that first warp thread. You won't notice that because the fringe is going to cover it. So we're going to skip that warp thread and add fringe on the alternating groups of 2 warp threads. You can layer your fringe with different colors. You can create like a really shaggy monster look, or you could make it really fine and sculpted and sort of cut it to an angle. You can give it a haircut when we're all done. Okay, so now that I've completed the alternate warp threads, I'm going to go ahead and find my plain weave stitch that I had before, which is right here. I'm going to tighten these guys up and fold them over, and I'm just going to continue with my plain weave. You can see that my string is pretty short. You can have a longer one. So you'll just create a pass of there and back at the very minimum, just to secure all those pieces of fringe. Okay, now we know how to do fringe. Beautiful.